Hi everyone, and welcome to our series on basic food safety. Today we will be looking at the importance of maintaining the cold chain. Now, this becomes very important when we work with perishable products. So, the first question we're going to ask ourselves is, what is the cold chain? The cold chain refers to keeping the food product cold from the farm until it reaches the consumer. Now, there are many steps between the farm and the consumer. So, each one of these steps or links between the farm and the consumer would be considered a link in the cold chain. So, at every step or link, the product has to be kept cold in order to maintain the cold chain. If at any stage at one of the steps between the farm and the consumer, the product gets warm, that means the cold chain has been broken. So, what are these links that I'm talking about? Between the farm and the consumer, there are quite a number of steps that a product goes through. Think of, for instance, peas. Peas grow on the farm and then gets transported to the factory where it is processed. From there, it goes to the wholesaler. From the wholesaler, it is transported further to the different shops where the consumer then buys the product, transports it back to the consumer's house, and then stores the product until it is being consumed. So at each one of these steps in the cold chain, the product must be kept cold. Why is the cold chain then so important to us? So remember I said this is especially important for perishable food products. So perishable means food that goes off quickly. So in other words, if we do not maintain the cold chain for perishable food products, this will lead to quick spoilage. It will reduce the shelf life of the product. That will make our consumers unhappy, and it can even result in illness of the consumer. Let's take an example. Think, for instance, of some fresh milk that is left outside of the fridge on a hot summer's day. What will happen to that milk? So firstly, it will turn sour quickly. Then it will not keep until the best before date that is printed on the carton. Then the customers won't want to buy the product because it is already sour. And if you consume that milk, you might even get sick. So that is just an example of what happens when the cold chain is broken. So why is that? Why is it that perishable food products spoil so quickly? And the answer to that is microorganisms. So can you still remember what microorganisms are? Microorganisms are small living cells that cannot be seen with the naked eye. Microorganisms are found basically everywhere, and yes, also in our different food products. So microorganisms love warm temperatures. As soon as it is nice and warm, they will start to grow and multiply fast. Now, microorganisms multiply by simply splitting into two. So on the left-hand side here, you can see that one cell will split and form two cells. Then each one of those cells will split again and form another two cells. And so this process goes on. So from one cell, you can eventually end up with thousands and even millions of cells. And if the conditions are warm enough, they will actually split into every 20 minutes. So you can see how quickly microorganisms can start to grow in a food product if the temperature is warm enough. And if there are a lot of microorganisms in a food product, it will start to taste bad, smell bad, and we call that spoilage. But at cold temperatures, microorganisms cannot grow and multiply so fast. They actually grow and multiply very slowly in cold temperatures. So it will actually prevent a lot of microorganisms in our food products, and therefore it will keep fresher for longer. I hope you have a good understanding of why it is important to maintain the cold chain and why we need to focus on not breaking any one of the links of the cold chain. Thanks for watching, and remember to test your knowledge with our quiz.